For an equipment reference, I am watching all of my movies either on my dedicated 4K Blu-ray player in my bedroom on a 55-inch Samsung 8000 series 4K TV, and in my rec room on the Xbox One S Blu-ray player, watching those on a 65-inch Samsung 8000 series 4K TV. Just to let you know how I'm watching these movies. It's safe to say kidnapping is never a good idea. But it's even a worse idea if the person you kidnapped is related to John Rambo.
For me, it was Tuesday.
Welcome to another episode of For Me, It Was Tuesday. I am your host, GQ. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button.
You know what this is?
Like the video, leave some comments, check out culturejunkies.net, look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We also have a Twitch channel. We're pretty much everywhere, so search Culture Junkies. You'll find us. John Rambo. Character has been around for a very, very, very long time. Of course, the first movie was First Blood. It is not called Rambo. It is called First Blood. First Blood Part 2 is called Rambo. Well, it's Rambo First Blood Part 2. But anyway, so the fact that this movie came back, well, essentially this character came back twice, is very interesting. Of course, Rambo 4 was done, I think, back in 2008, I believe, or maybe even a little bit earlier than that. But either way, hyper-violent, brought it back to the gritty 80s style of just kill, 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 but even more extreme, especially in the fourth one. And Sylvester Stallone returns again for Rambo Last Blood. Right off the bat, this movie is short. All the standard theatrical versions run 89 minutes long. So it's less than 90 minutes long. I think it clocks in at like an hour, 29 minutes, and 40 seconds or something like that. So it's straight to the point. It literally is just get in there, kill, and we're done. The movie is directed by Adrian Grunberg. It stars Sylvester Stallone, Yvette Monreal, and Vega. And that's pretty much all the characters you need to know. Well, no, not really. There's other characters, but I mean, those are the main three that have, I guess, the most screen time. I mean, obviously, Sylvester Stallone's gonna have a ton of screen time because it's his movie. So, just to catch you up, Sylvester Stallone's character, John Rambo, is a retired Vietnam veteran. If you've seen any of the Rambo movies, you know his story. He's been through a lot. The police brutality thing is pretty prevalent now, and in the first movie, it was a very big part of the film. But getting into this particular story, Stallone and the director decide to, they hit the problem of human trafficking. So we'll get into that in a second. We catch up to John Rambo. He's on a ranch in Arizona, breaking horses and essentially just, enjoying retired life. He has a older Latina lady that he lives with. She's actually the grandmother to Yvette Monreal's character, who is named Gabriella. She is about to graduate high school. She wants to have a party with her friends, or go party with her friends rather, before they all go off their own separate ways and go to college. And Rambo, of course, is her adopted father in this situation. She obviously wants to spend some time with her friends. Rambo, being Rambo, doesn't trust people. He has a lot of good reason not to. But these are kids. I mean, they want to enjoy their lives and everything. So she wants to go to a party at her friend's house. Rambo suggests that they have the party there at the ranch because he has this entire intricate tunnel system that he built underneath the entire farmland. And for whatever reasons, he actually thinks this is a great idea and it's cool and her friends are going to like it because apparently he never lets anybody down there. So that's what they do. They have their party. Gabriella gets a call from one of her friends named Giselle from Mexico, because of course Arizona is not too far from the Mexican border. And Giselle apparently has tracked down Gabriella's biological father. Cut to the next morning, Rambo and her grandmother do not think it's a good idea for her to go see him. He's basically deadbeat dad, left her and her mother, who has passed away, left them just, essentially destitute. Gabriella, being very emotional about it, decides, you know what, I need to see him. I'm going to go, and this is something I need to do. She goes down to Mexico, links up with Giselle. Giselle takes her to where her father is. Her father, again, proves that he is the straight up POS, and pretty much to her face tells her that he left because she didn't mean anything to him. She's of course distraught about this. Her and Giselle go to a club to, get her mind off the situation. And unfortunately, the human traffickers are at the club, and Giselle seems to potentially know about it. And she, they get separated, and Gabriella gets drugged and kidnapped essentially, and Giselle goes back home as if nothing happened. But she did, I guess, essentially put a call into Gabriella's grandmother and let her know that she didn't, she's missing or they got separated or whatever. So of course, what's coming next. Rambo hops in his truck, drives across the border, locked and loaded, and essentially goes to Giselle first. Okay, where's my adopted daughter at? She was last seen with you. Don't BS me. Where's she at? Take me to where you guys last were. And of course, Rambo tracks down the guy that drugged Gabriella. And in pure Sylvester Stallone tough guy fashion, it gets bloody. He tracks the guy who was over to his car, stabs him in the leg first, and then literally pushes his thumb into the guy's collarbone area and yanks his collarbone up and basically snaps it off. So it's just like, yeah, he's still, I guess the best you could say is he's still got it. But it's even worse than I remember, because I remember Rambo was brutal, but this is super brutal. So of course the guy takes Rambo to where the traffickers' base is at, but the problem is it's one guy against an entire cartel, basically. And this is where we meet the Martinez brothers, Victor and Hugo. And Rambo gets beat down by a gang of, basically a gang of the cartel members. And it was not this, everybody goes in one at a time like they do in the old martial arts movies. They just rush him and beat him down and pretty much kind of leave him for dead, but they kind of want to torture him a little bit because he, once he gets in there, they question him. It's like, well, why are you even here? And he reveals that Gabriella is, his adopted daughter, and he's here to take her home. And the two Martinez brothers are like, oh, okay, well, now that we know that she means something to you, it's about to get way worse for her. And Hugo, who is essentially the in-charge brother, tells his other brother Victor to essentially, give her a hard time in the brothel. So he carves a V, which is his symbol, into Rambo's face, and then goes to Gabriella and carves the same V into her face, and then drugs her up and that sort of thing. So they leave Rambo for dead, basically. And this is where we meet Vega's character, who's playing a journalist who actually was tracking him while he was at the club, and watching him rather. And she takes him to her place, nurses him back to health over the course of a couple days. And we come to find out that her sister was taken by this same cartel. And essentially, it's kind of she feels for him, but she doesn't want to get involved in the sense of she's still scared. And Rambo convinces her that, look, if you stay scared and don't do anything, nothing will ever change. And she eventually takes him to the brothel where Gabriella is. And of course, another quick bloody scene. Rambo snaps a couple necks, takes a hammer, drives a hammer through a few people, and he gets his adopted daughter back. And the one spoiler I'm going to give on this is she doesn't make it back. She does not make the trip back. And that's actually shocked me when I saw it in the theater. I thought it was going to be the standard, oh, he rescued her story and that be that. No, she actually dies. And of course, Rambo, takes a detour to get across the border because you ain't crossing the border with a dead body and under any regular circumstances. So he, drives through the little fencing that they got there and gets back to the ranch. And of course, the grandmother is completely distraught. He sends the grandmother off because she has nothing. She has basically no other reason to stay there. And he gears up for revenge. So he goes back to Mexico, goes back to the cartel's place, runs through a couple of, the light guards that they had there, catches up with Victor, ties him to the bed, kills him, cuts his head off, leaves his headless body there for his brother to discover, and drives back home. And the one interesting connective tissue was, of course, when they beat him down initially, they grabbed his driver's license, to see who he was, and kept his license. So they know where he lives, and Rambo knows that they know. So he, takes the brother's head, drops it off on the highway while he's on his way back home, and goes back and gears up the farm for the invasion that he knows is coming. And we go old school with it. I mean, he's putting out booby traps and setting up kill spots and areas where the floor breaks away and drops people on spikes. And it's old school 80s, almost like Predator, almost very similar to the way Arnold was setting up traps for the Predator and Predator. But of course, Stallone is doing this all throughout the farm, throughout the tunnels, and it gets bloody. It's exactly what you expect out of a movie like this. Some people said they didn't like it. They felt it was too empty and dry, but I'm kind of like, it's a Rambo movie. You know what you're going to get out of it. And especially with it being as short as it is, they're going to cut through a lot of the filler that most movies have and then just hit, beat after beat. And in that aspect, the movie delivers. Now, when it comes to the 4K package of it, the HDR is not really on full display here. It's a very kind of dark, gritty looking movie, so you're not going to get a whole bunch of things like, for example, like with Gemini Man, when they were filming in all over the world, you were getting all of those bright, vibrant colors and all that sort of thing. This one, it's more of a dark, gritty movie, so the HDR is not really doing anything but giving you just a more dynamic, range of, blacks and your reds, of course, where you get splashes of blood, stuff like that. But it's no huge advantage to having the 4K version versus just even the regular Blu-ray version. When it comes to extras, there's the standard behind-the-scenes stuff. We see that Stallone is still a very hands-on, even when he's not a director and he's just in a producer role or executive producer role, he still has a very firm hand on how he wants shots to look, how he wants scenes to be set up. So it's almost like he's a second director when you see the behind-the-scenes in these various featurettes. So the movie is fun. It's literally something I would say, if you have any curiosity about it, just rent it. Or if you got a streaming service that's offering it, just stream it. You don't necessarily need to pick it up. Again, you guys know I love physical media and I love director's commentaries and all. I love all the additional stuff that you normally don't get when you just stream a movie or looking at a rental. Well, I guess with a rental, if you get it rented it physically, you'll get all that stuff. But if you're just doing a stream, you normally don't get your director's commentaries and the extra stuff that I like. But all in all, fun movie. If you have a squeamish stomach, you probably don't really want to get into it. But I'm going to leave you guys with these final words. For many of you out there, first time you saw First Blood, very confused, because I was a kid when I saw it. I was extremely confused, didn't know anything about PTSD or any of that stuff. But you fast forward through Rambo, and we've gotten all sorts of great fun with Rambo throughout the years. But now, Stallone is in his 70s, and he's still playing Rambo, potentially doing a 6th Rambo movie, which is going to be a prequel. So for all you guys out there, it's like, dude, hang it up. It's a little bit long in the tooth on this character. But for me,
It was Tuesday.
I'll see you guys next time. If you're enjoying our content, please consider going to our Patreon and becoming a supporter. There are different tiers to select from, and we thank you for your support.
Culture Junkies!